Welcome to the installation guide for the Arnott front right and left shock for the BMW X5 and X6, F15, F16 with air suspension and VDC. This video will walk you through the steps to ensure a smooth and safe installation process for your vehicle's suspension system. Let's get started. Before starting, ensure you have the necessary safety measures in place, which can be found in the vehicle owner's manual. Lift and immobilize the vehicle properly and isolate any stored energy to prevent injuries or damage. Start by raising the vehicle, then remove the front wheel. Locate the wiring harness connector box and disconnect the strut's wire. Next, disconnect the acceleration sensor bracket from the strut and unroute the wires from the brackets on the strut body. Remove the bolt from the lower strut mount tube clamp and then remove the lower strut mount bolt at the lower spring arm. Now disconnect the spindle from the upper wishbone. Use an appropriate tool to spread the tube clamp and separate the strut from the lower mount. Remove the applicable trim in the engine bay to gain access to the top mount nuts so you can remove them. Now remove the strut from the vehicle. For the shock teardown, mark the coil and top mount for alignment. Now use an appropriate coil compressor to disassemble the strut. Remove the top mount, spring, and bump stop or dust shield. Next, remove the spring seat and the spring seat collar. Set aside the top mount, the spring seat collar, and the bump stop or dust shield for later use. The teardown is now complete. Make sure to tighten all nuts and bolts to the vehicle manufacturer's specifications during the installation process. Start the strut assembly by inserting the new Arnott strut into the coil compressor. Then install the OEM spring seat collar and the spring seat onto the strut. Install the OEM spring onto the strut. Install the bump stop or dust shield onto the strut. Then align the coil from the previous marks and compress the coil. Next, install the top mount onto the strut with the threads protruding through the top mount. Tighten the new top nut utilizing the appropriate tool and follow the manufacturer's service procedures. The strut assembly is now complete. Install the new Arnott strut into the vehicle. Loosely thread on the included top mount nuts. Seat the strut into the tube clamp. Do not install the bolt at this point. Connect the lower strut mount to the lower spring arm with the bolt. Do not tighten at this point. Reconnect the spindle to the upper wishbone and tighten the hardware. Use an appropriate jack or other means to raise the wheel hub to standard trim height. Use an appropriate tool to spread the tube clamp to relieve any binding, and then install the tube clamp bolt. Tighten the tube clamp and lower mount bolt. Tighten the top mount nuts. Then reroute the wires through the brackets on the strut and install the acceleration sensor bracket to the strut. Connect the strut's wire harness to the vehicle and reinstall the wheel to complete the installation. Thank you for following our guide on installing the Arnott front shocks for BMW. Proper installation ensures the longevity and performance of your vehicle's suspension system. Stay safe and happy repairing.